Well, hi everybody, and welcome to hour number 2 of our Super Bowl preview show, and we're going to continue rolling along with great guests and a lot of information for you. During this hour, we're going to be chatting with, among others, the fine movie critic and a TV and radio host, Richard Roper. We're also going to have comedian George Wallace, who has some family history with Super Bowl history to tell us about. MMA star Misha Tate's going to join us, and also a gentleman who, if you have watched anything involving the NFL and or are interested in sports gaming, you know him. Hank Goldberg is going to be on board with us as well. But to start this hour out, we're going to revisit the gentleman who talked to Brent during hour number 1, the gentleman from the race and sports book here at the Orleans Casino. Two guys I know very well and am thrilled to spend time with here now on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. The Vice President of Gaming for Gone Gaming, it is Vinny Magliulo, and the Senior Odds Maker for the Orleans, Jimmy Vaccaro. Gentlemen, I've known you guys for a long time, and it is a joy to be able to do this with you. Jimmy, I've gotten to share a time on the radio many times with you, and this endeavor, VSiN, is something that I know has been long in the making, and I have to think it's pretty gratifying for you to see it come about.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. And first of all, did we move? You said the Orleans. We're at the South Point.
What did I say? Oh, my God. That was lovely. The South Point.
Thank you.
We're not at the Orleans. We're at the South Point. Other than the wrong hotel, we're in good shape.
All right, listen, my friend. We can all get confused at our tender age
yes,
of what?
exactly.
47. Yes, this is a great ending for a beginning that obviously started about a year and a half ago when Brent's nephew and approached Vinny, and we went from there. And it's very apparent that without the help of Michael Garn, we'd have never gotten to this juncture. But I can see bigger and better things from this because, first of all, the people you've had on so far, the people you'll be associated with, and the people will be giving absolutely uptime, real-time odds of what the hell is going on in this country. We're going to have a good time with it. And one thing, do I have to listen to this over and over again with the Gerald Phelan thing? I can still feel the pain in my butt because we got massacred on that pass in the last play. So all the good things that you said about boxing and all the good things Brent said, remember, there was guys on the other side of the counter who were taking the left and right combos, but it's great seeing you again, my friend.
It is very good. Here at the South Point, I might add. Vinny, you and I go back a long time.
Yes, we do.
30-some years ago,
right.
To when we were spending time together. And the way gaming and sports gaming has developed is probably got to be staggering to you as well.
Well, the most noteworthy thing to me, and we go back 30 years, of course, we had, when I was at Caesar's Palace, you had a show called Boxing by the Book, and so you entertained, we did interviews. The Hagler-Leonard fight was 30 years ago, April of 1987, and it really dawned on me, and it was very apparent that it was a much bigger story. It was a much bigger event than just the fight itself. Yeah. It took on such an aura that the property was about the property. It was about the entire city. I mean, the entire city was energized. And at that time, I thought, well, listen, we've got Al's show. Maybe we take this to a more, a higher level. So 30 years later, it's certainly been worth the wait. Remember the first discussion I had with Brent Musburger and the Musburger team, and here we are now in the VSiN studio on Las Vegas Boulevard at the South Point Hotel. We've come a long way from Royal Inn on Convention Center Drive, Jimmy.
Tell me about it. I sure remember some of those great boxing matches. Fan man. How did Larry Holmes get up after Ernie Shavers hit him?
How did he do that?
Yes, Hagler. This was a kickoff like what really boosted boxing and interest as far as betting was concerned. Obviously, we're going to get back there, but it's been a great ride with you with the boxing because I enjoyed boxing, and I was I wouldn't use the word knucklehead to put odds up on Mike Tyson losing his first fight. So there's a lot of memories, and surely we can share them as we go along with the show.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of time to do that as we continue on when we get on a daily basis. Let's talk about today. Obviously, the lines, except for the slight movement today in terms of the over-under, have stayed essentially the same. How normal is that, and how abnormal could it be for that to happen?
It's not normal. You usually see runs on one team or the other team to really leading up to the game itself. But in this case, it's been a solid 3 the entire 2 weeks since we had the game up. From a bookmaker standpoint, that's great because obviously you can only land on one number. When you're bouncing around, it should take a bite out of your behind if it lands on a bad number. But in this case, as I just came from the book, we're still steady at 3. We're very high on the -3, but we're very high on the money line with the Falcons, and we're down to minus 37-27, which is really, really a low line for a 3-point favorite. But at that particular point in time, you can see behind us with all the people still lined up here, I think we're going to go off and never have this line from the opening line. That is something I haven't seen in over 40 years.
Wow. And the amount of, Matt Humans wrote a great piece on the VSiN website at vsin.com. This looks like it could break the record for amount of wagering on a Super Bowl. Do you expect that, Vinny?
Well, I think we certainly could get there. I think the fact that we did $132.5 million here in the state of Nevada last year, which was a record, with the fact that we've got a good matchup, and as Jimmy indicated, the number's very solid, and we love that to not have to move that. But when you think about it, the fact that this game is between two very popular teams this year. The Patriots have been what we refer to as a public team for a very long time. And the Falcons became a very public team during the course of this season, and both of them combined were very profitable for the betting public. So the fact that they are in this game, and of course all of the various proposition bets, there's a couple, 300 different ways to bet this game. And when you consider that, along with the in-progress wagering that will take place during the game, there's no question in my mind. I have to believe that that we should meet or beat last year's $132.5 million.
And Al, what I looked at just before I came over for this segment here was like just punching up the buttons that we are absolutely almost dead even on the amount of money we wrote on the game as opposed to the amount of money we wrote on the proposition bets. Wow. That's an unbelievable number. If you're half your business is with the prop bets. And trust me, with this analogy here, usually the recreational players who come to have a good time, have something to do the entire game, bet an average between 5 and 8 proposition bets, anywhere between $10 and $50. It keeps you engaged the entire game. So from when it was to 3 proposition bets in 1970s when we did it, as opposed to over 300 here and every other book in the state, it's an incredible, incredible feat. But you know what? It's getting bigger and bigger every year.
It is amazing. And of course, those proposition bets in the 1990s with all those blowout games were really important because it kept the fan engaged.
Correct.
Well, that's what you want, obviously. And you know, when you think about it, there was the 49ers against you know, let's say the Chargers was a big point spread. The Broncos against these Falcons, or the Falcons, not these Falcons. So the game, you know, propositions, the games within the game keep people interested. Think about this: a couple of years ago in East Rutherford, the Broncos Seahawks game was a foregone conclusion, pretty much by halftime. But there was still some drama when you think about it. When the Broncos did finally get into the end zone. Will there or won't there be a 2-point conversion in the game? And as a matter of fact, there was, and it was at 2-1.
And don't ask me about Refrigerator Perry. I'm still getting him off my chest 30-some odd years later. I didn't take it real bad at the MGM at the time. I was running the race and sports book there. I only lost about 70,000, but it resonated up and down the entire strip where we just absolutely got taken apart with that one. But you know what, my friend? It was the best $1 million that the sports book ever spent, because from that particular point, it showed there was an interest in what it is. But I can still see 72 coming at me.
Number 72.
Yeah, he got me.
He came right over the counter. He didn't only cross the goal line, he crossed the counter.
I still see him.
Well, thank you guys for your insight. You'll be back again in there with Brent for hour number 3 from the South Point Hotel and Casino, where we are coming to you from our VSiN studios, and we're going to continue our Super Bowl preview. I have a very special guest coming up, Richard Roper. Join us, great movie critic, and also a man who knows something about sports and gaming as well. We'll be right back.